We are most happy that you could join us for this wonderful concert by the Salzburger Echo. And they will be playing for about a half hour, as well as answering some of your questions about their interesting instruments.
group Salzburger. We'll be at Alpine Garden at 2. And yeah, so we're here. We get to play in this beautiful setting. It's one of the best treats we get to do all year for all of the performances we do. Is we like to come here and play in this church, and it's just such a beautiful place. Today, your group of Alphorn players is Brian Preedy here on my right-hand side. He is all the way from the Washington, D.C. area. My name is Robert Brazelton. I come from Salt Lake City, Utah. To my left is Tony Brazelton, my father, also from Salt Lake City, Utah. And then we've got Laura Nelson to my father's left, and she's joining us. On that last piece, we had our Parish join us. He is also from Salt Lake City. And then later we will have an appearance from our drummer, Dan Stephenson, and he is from Arizona, joining us this year. So we come from the area, but you know, this is one of our favorite places to come every year. This next piece we're going to play should be familiar to several of you. This is going to be Simple Gifts from the Appalachian Spring Suite. Alphorns that I can answer for anyone at the moment? The joke answer is that we do it very carefully. The real answer is that these do all come apart in multiple pieces. 3 of these are in 4 sections, 1 of them is in 3. But yeah, that's a lot easier than having to drive a bus everywhere. So, yes. So the question is, do you have a treble and a bass or anything like that? And the answer is no. These horns are actually all, they're the same length. They can all play the exact same notes. The only difference in what the horns are playing is what we decide to play as players. And Yes, our mouthpieces are different. That doesn't affect what the horn can play. It's merely just what's more comfortable for us. So I'll explain kind of, Brian is a trombone player and baritone, so he has a much larger mouthpiece than the rest of us. I am kind of somewhere between a trumpet and a baritone mouthpiece. Those are the other two instruments I play. And then my father's a trumpet player. His is closer to a French horn size, and then Laura's also a French horn player. So they have smaller mouthpieces. But Laura's playing stuff that's just as low as what I play. And she's playing a much smaller mouthpiece than I am. So that's just for comfort's sake, yes. The question was, how do we change the tone? The way we change the tones and choose which notes we're going to play is actually based on how tight or loose we buzz our lips and change our embouchure. So we actually, the sound, what we're doing with the horn, it starts sounding something like this. Yeah, it's not the best sound in the world. So once we have the buzzing sound that we're creating with our lips, and we decide how tight or loose to change the note, but we start with the lips, then we use the mouthpiece to focus the sound. Sounds a little better. The album still didn't sell too many copies when we recorded that, so yeah. So after we take those two parts, we put the mouthpiece in the horn. And that helps us, it amplifies what we're doing with our lips and our mouth a lot more. Yes. That's every note that you can play on the Alphorn, and probably a few that you shouldn't. So, yes, we had another question here. The horns they're all made of wood. We do have some brass fittings on there, and that just helps it so that we can take the horns apart and put them back together without destroying the wood that's on the inside. To be specific about the wood, these are made of spruce, and that is the wood that's most common for making not only the Alphorn, but any musical instrument that is made of wood. There are some other woods that people are using, but like I said, the spruce tree is the most commonly used for musical instruments, and that's because the trees grow with a very nice tight and long fiber within the wood, so it helps us have a very nice sound, as well as it's nice to work on for the makers, and they do last a very long time, which is also an added benefit of using the spruce tree. These ones are all from Switzerland, to answer the question of where the horns are made. And that's where a lot of makers are, but there are makers kind of throughout any other part of Europe that has mountains, as well as there are makers. There's a maker in Canada who we're very good friends with, Bill Wilson, and his son's actually here with the Alphorn band playing low brass and bass too, so yeah. And there is a maker in Oregon, if you let me explain all the makers here. But yes, there's a gentleman by the name of Bruce Couton who lives over in Enterprise, Oregon, who's starting to make Alphorns. He's got a few examples out. He'll probably start making more here in the next couple of years, as well as I think there's some makers in Asia as well. So yes, and these horns, to answer how much they weigh, are not terribly heavy. They're about 18 pounds, 20 pounds. But they look like they'd be heavier than they are because of the wood, but they're hollow, so it's not that bad. Yeah, all right, we've got one more question here, and then we'll play some more. So the question was, how far can the horns be heard? And under absolutely perfect conditions, no wind, if you're playing down towards a valley, you can hear the horns between 6 and 7 miles on a very clear day. But as you notice, they're not terribly loud, and that's just because of the way the horn is designed, it helps the sound carry a very long distance. All right, we're going to play a little bit and then we can answer some more questions later on. Which one? Okay.
We're not going to play it as a chorale, we're going to play it as a fanfare because we think it's more fun that way. So yeah.
I have time for a couple more quick questions. Yes. Yes, they are somewhat. No, these are hand carved, all of them. Yeah, with various tools, chisels and the light. Yes. There are makers that use a more machined process, but these ones are used some with some power tools, but for hand carved on all of these. And these are very nice horns that we use them professionally. So yeah. Yes. The question was, what were the Alphorns originally used for? And they were originally a communication instrument. So the shepherds would use them to communicate back to their families in the valleys when they were taking care of their herds up higher in the mountains over the summer, which is why it was beneficial that the sound could carry 6 or 7 miles, like I earlier had explained. And that's because they would use them to tell their family that everything was okay, or if anything, what else needed to be done. That's how they would talk to their families, a couple hundred years ago. And the first piece that we played was actually called All Is Well, and that was a very old Alphorn melody that they would use to tell their families that everything was going well with the herds and with themselves as they were away from their family up in the hills for the summer. Yes?
Who is the most important person or group of people you have performed before?
That is it's an interesting question. We've actually been able to perform with some we've had the chance to perform with Bill Hobson, who he's regarded as one of the best players in the world, and he likes a more classical style. He still pushes the envelope within the classical universe of the Alphorn, but he is regarded as one of the best players. And then last summer we had the opportunity to perform with a gentleman named Arkady Shevlover, and he is a Russian player, and he takes a much more modern spin on the Alphorn, uses a lot more jazz, but we also have been able to perform with him, and they're both regarded as some of the best players in the world. And we've also, we've had a chance to meet the foremost makers of the horns. So I don't know if I can answer the single most important, but we've been able to meet a lot of the big players within the world of Alphorn. We've been very lucky in that regard, and then we've got to meet a lot of the people who are affecting where the Alphorn is going and what has kind of happened as a transformation of what the Alphorn has done over the last really 20 years. So we've gotten to meet a lot of those people. Yes. Maybe one more question, yes. Yes, thank you. Well, so one, I think I am the youngest, definitely the youngest, and I've played the least amount out of this group, but I've been performing for about 11 years now. So we've had a fairly long chance to learn how to play these and, keep practicing and keep developing our trade. But my dad and I especially, we're cheating a little bit because our home festival in Utah, we ended up playing these on top of Hidden Peak, which is at 11,000 feet. So we're taking advantage of the fact that you guys have a lot of oxygen down here. Yes. All right. We have time for one last piece. And as we're finishing up here, I'd like to tell you that we do have some CDs available out front. And after we get done here, we will be down there to take pictures and answer any more questions that you may have. We do have a brand new CD, which I have not officially released yet. It will release on October 9th, but I brought it to Oktoberfest this year. It's the 50th anniversary, so we wanted to celebrate, and we have our new CD available to everyone here at Oktoberfest first before I release it to the rest of the world. And to finish up our show here today, we're going to play the beautiful and timeless Amazing Grace.